grab your bottled water, don't answer the door, and make sure your skin is seasoned properly. Welcome to the Mostly Pot Out of Night. Mostly, I am Graveyard, joined by my co-host Salem.
Hello.
This is episode 137 of our weekly All Things Horror podcast. Whether you're in the backwoods, deep in the Peruvian jungle, or stuck in Suburbia, terror can be anywhere. Join us with our director spotlight featuring Eli Roth with Cabin Fever. Yes, we know there's more of them. We'll begin those as a separate episode, the rest of them. The Green Inferno, which came out in 2015. Cabin Fever is 2002. That's what we're talking about, not the shot-for-shot, line-for-line remake of 2016 Cabin Fever. And then 2015, Knock Knock, starring the most chill guy of all time, Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, he did Cabin Fever, but he didn't do any of the other ones. Like he was not attached at all.
Yeah,
He didn't even produce the other ones. So like the remake, he was like I think he produced it, but he wasn't like involved.
yeah. Well, he handed the script over to him. Says, "Here's the script.
Yeah,
I already made this 14 years ago."
so yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it's okay to have another episode without it because he was not attached in it.
Correct. Yeah. So yeah, I said I know Salem didn't see any of these three before this episode.
No, I thought I saw Cabin Fever, but I did not.
And we didn't even figure out what you saw.
I tried explaining what the movie I saw. Nobody knows, so we'll find that out another day, I guess.
I guess we will. All right, so I'll go first for Cabin Fever 2002. And like I said, I did see this one in theaters, and I've seen this I don't know how many times at this point in time, but it's a group of friends that go to a cabin in the woods. Imagine that. But not the same outcomes you typically would expect in this. They kind of go to the most racist gas station we've ever seen in one of these movies, I think.
Well, it sounds like it until the end, and then you find out otherwise.
Yeah. So essentially, yeah, they go there, they're going there, and like, hey, there's a boy sitting there, and getting off of Boy Meets World, Ryder Strong portraying guy in the horror movie, sits down next to Dennis, who then bites him because he puts his hand there. Like, you should really get a sign. And I'll just say that now. They do get a sign.
I was like, that was one of the few chuckles I got was actually a sign.
You're not sitting next to Dennis. Yeah. Who's Dennis? Obviously the kid. So anyway, they're just like, they don't like these people because they have like antique bottles or whatever there, guns for people that aren't white.
Yeah, hard R.
Yeah.
Hard R.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh. Oh, man.
It's like, oh. And again, and you think like, okay, like I literally wrote down that because it's the first time I saw it. And then at the end I was like, oh, okay. I guess that's kind of kind of a retreat. That's better.
Yeah. So anyway, they go to the cabin and they have a bet because this has to come into play somehow. Why a couple of the guys don't drink the water? It's like, I bet I can drink nothing but beer all weekend. You're on. So anyway, they get to the cabin.
Well, I mean, to be fair, if you're going to a cabin in the middle of the woods and you're going to be drinking fucking tap water, there's something wrong anyway. You should, you know what I mean? Don't drink like the water that comes out of the tap without boiling it if you're in the middle of the woods.
Correct. And this movie's very good reason for it. But essentially, they're kind of having a fire, just having a good old time. There's essentially two couples, and then the funny guy that's a stoner, that's just the fifth wheel and everything.
I wouldn't call him funny.
Okay, to himself, he thinks he's funny.
He's just a straight up asshole.
He is. When like starting a fire, let me just make a ring around the fire that's like what, 10 feet in diameter.
Yeah. Okay. Now there's a very nice metal ring set up specifically for a fire pit. He pours like lighter fluid around that on dry leaves, lights it, and then walks away.
Yep. Yeah.
That's the kind of guy we're dealing with.
Yeah, he is an asshole. So anyway, they're kind of just having a good time. All of a sudden, like a guy that best way to describe him, leper-ish. Not doing so hot. He's like, I'm sick, kind of just like coughing blood. It's pretty gooey and all that stuff. And they're trying to like, okay, we're gonna help you. He's like, no, no, we can't do that. And he gets in their car and just starts like puking up blood essentially. And just all over the place. They damage their car a lot on the outside to make it not work on the inside, which is pretty
Yeah,
impressive.
I don't understand how did they like stopped it from running.
And how
Like,
they make it
okay,
run again, I don't know.
if you're beating on the body of a truck with a
Mhm,
bat,
mhm,
you're not going to stop it from running.
correct.
It's going to look all dented and shit. You're going to break windows and stuff for sure. Yes. You're not going to stop the thing from starting and running.
No, you're not. We'll get into that later though. So anyway, they're trying to scare the guy out, and essentially they set him on fire.
As you should. I
As
mean,
you
like,
should, yeah. Like he
okay,
is like
if you're in the middle
melting.
of the woods and some guy is like obviously like spewing blood out of his fucking eyes, oh, I'm sick. Stay away from him.
Mhm,
I'm not saying don't get him help. Yeah, sure. Call an ambulance, get a doctor, something, get him some help, but do not let him get close to you.
correct,
That's okay. You can throw him a bottle of water. He doesn't need to be near you.
correct. But he wouldn't leave him alone, so they set him on fire. He runs off to the woods on fire. They're like, huh, that's weird. And we get introduced. Before that, we get introduced to Grim and Doctor Mambo. Grim played by Eli Roth. Doctor Mambo because we need the dog there later on. um, like that's weird. We gotta figure out what's going on there. And then one of the girls that Ryder Strong's character liked really, started showing signs of uh gooiness after some foreplay action. And like, oh shit, she's got it too. She's sick. We're gonna kind of, you know, throw her away in the cabin, lock her up in the, I guess, the shed. But sorry, before that, we get to meet the sheriff who calls in there as people looking for help. Um, Two people go to like a woman slaughtering a pig, and they find out that like the guy they set on fire was like her cousin. Like, yeah, sorry, we didn't see your cousin, and just kind of run away. um, the sheriff comes trying to describe it. He's like, "Oh yeah, I think that's Frank. He's pretty harmless. I don't know where he went. Weird." It's like, "Oh, you're the party dudes, man. The party dudes." And he's just annoying as hell and just wants to be friends with everyone. And they realize what's going on there. It's like, "Hey, we'll let you know. We'll have to. Your car's not starting. I'll get a tow truck here so we can guys get you out of here, right?" Yeah, cool. Because as we said, hitting the outside of the truck makes the truck no longer work.
Yeah, I didn't get that plot point.
Well, I mean, Bert does fix it. What he does to fix it, I don't know, put the key in and turn it.
Yeah, I think he just started it.
Yeah.
I think he just turned the key. Yeah.
If you think you damage the engine by hitting it with a baseball bat on the outside, nothing you're gonna have with you is gonna fix that engine.
Right. I mean, like, yeah, unless you're hitting it with like fucking like a jackhammer or something,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah, but I'm saying if something was damaged on the inside, he didn't bring tools to fix it. So I don't know what he did to fix it.
Well, to be fair, we didn't see everything that was in the back of the truck. We don't know
That's
if
true.
he has tools.
That's true. So anyway, they're like, "Oh, this isn't good," and like they're trying to clean it up and just trying to get back to normal. But we see some of the people drinking the water from the faucet, which no, bad.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's a scene of the guy that was on fire. We see his body in the river
Which leads
that
to a
which the
reservoir.
pipes
Yeah,
feed to the cabin, right?
right.
But like,
And
why people? If you're going to go to the woods, why would you not bring your own water supply? Like, why would you assume that it has running water?
I would not.
Right. Like, if you're going to go to a cabin in the middle of the woods, the picture, okay, one, is probably not going to have power. And two, it's probably not, if it has power, it's probably a generator. And if it doesn't, it's probably not going to have running water. And if it does, it's definitely going to be a well. And it's
Oh
a
yeah,
well that you don't trust. It's probably not got any filters or anything.
correct. And they stopped at the general store that had like Lay's potato chips. I would think they have bottles of water.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they did.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a lot that's going on there. So the one girl gets, diseased and sick. They put her in a shed, and we kind of get a hint that a dog's trying to get to her. Like, oh, we'll stay out all night, make sure nothing happens to you, and they don't. They ignore her for a while until the dog, shows up and tries getting at her. Um, Meanwhile, this is going on there. Bert's like, "Hey, I fixed the truck. I gotta figure out what's going on there," and he starts randomly bleeding from the back of the neck. And he gets back to the general store and the sign with Dennis, who screams pancakes, does kung fu, and then bites Bert in the hand. Realize that the same look that Cletus Cassidy had in Venom 2, like how he got the carnage by biting his blood. Like realize Dennis has bad blood now, and he's like, "Oh, you made that's my problem now. I'm gonna kill you all, And they start you know, getting all their guns and guy holding the ammo box and going after him, shooting him, all that crap.
I don't know. We never saw what was in that box.
I assume ammo. That's
He was
all I got.
holding it, and then when the other two, well, spoiler, I guess, the other two die, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's trying to open the box. If it was ammo, why would he bother trying to open it if he's not holding a gun?
I don't know. He seemed like maybe he shouldn't have a gun.
Well, yeah. He seemed like, the dopey one. I'm just saying, like, so I don't know. We never see what's in there. I don't understand why they have this like ornate box that he's carrying around and holding prominently, and then we never see what's in it.
Maybe it's holy water. Who knows?
Just like the kid that bites him leaves the movie. We never see him again.
Correct. We don't know if he's okay or not. Who knows?
Yeah. Again, I just want to. This is the point. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Later on, I will reference the point.
Uh-huh.
This is the point.
Where it turns for you?
No, not where it turns for me. I had already made my decision before the point. I'm just saying the point is whatever. We'll discuss what happens after the point.
Okay.
Later. But yeah. So yeah, the guy, they're chasing him, right? And then the one blonde guy is like, "Yeah, you guys are all sick. I don't want to get sick." And he takes all the beer and then runs away into a cave.
Yes, covered his face with some cloth.
Correct.
Yeah. So while Bert is being chased, the blonde guy's girlfriend's like, "You know what? We should just bone." And Ryder Strong's like, "Okay, don't worry, I'm healthy." And she like destroys her back, and she's like, "Oh," and he washes it off with Listerine, realizing that she may not be healthy, doesn't trust it, and we get the scene of her kind of bathing in the bathtub, and then shaving her legs, and well, her skin's coming off from her shaving, so that's cool. She runs outside, gets immediately like exploded by dogs.
Well, she was trying to get to the shed to see if the other girl was okay. The other girl was obviously dead, and the dog was eating
her face.
Yes, and then she gets attacked.
And exploded.
We don't see it. Yeah, we don't see anything. When the next people come outside, they see chunks of her everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. And Ryder Strong sees the girl, and he's like, "Oh wait, she's still alive. Let me beat her head in with the shovel to put her out of her misery." And then that's when he goes to the well. And he sees that the guy's in there. He's like, "Oh, it's in the water." Like, oh shit,
that was a different guy.
I thought that was still supposed to be Frank.
The dude that he goes in the water and falls on top of is wearing like military gear.
That's true.
So he's got literally like a military utility belt and like a flak jacket and everything. The other dude just had like a weird like trench coat. Yeah. Again,
it's like the Crazies plot essentially.
Again, we're past the point. I will discuss the point later on.
Okay. Anyway, Bert makes it back to the cabin and he gets killed, his shot, and he is able to shoot one of the guys. They have a rifle. Ryder Strong takes out the simple guy with a screwdriver to the head, and he's
fumbling with his ornate box that we never get to see what's in.
Correct. Yes. And he's just running, trying to escape, and he runs into essentially a guy's wife, and he's like, "Oh, sorry," and he ends up at like some other like stoner party there with the cops. Like, "Oh man," and he's like all covered in blood because like he driving the car hits a deer who then like sprays blood all over him. He just comes up to a party looking like the guy did to their party, right? Clearly sick, covered in blood. People don't trust him, and people start attacking him because there's like an APB out saying, "Hey, shoot him if you see him." And he's able to like a guy's gonna hit him with his guitar, hits his friend, and it gets like the harmonica shoved down his throat, so he's like gasping for air, trying to breathe through the harmonica.
Now, we're past the point, right? I
Uh-huh.
just want to point out, one of the people at the party was already sick.
Yep.
He was already bleeding out of his face and shit right when he got there.
Yes.
Okay, just want to
Yep.
point that out.
Yep. So anyway, they're trying to figure out what's going on here, but he gets eventually taken, you know, he stumbles on the road. He gets like dropped off at the hospital. They're like, oh man, we figure out what's on with him, and the doctors are barely protecting themselves from the guy who clearly has was that disease. We just bleed from every orifice.
Ebola.
Ebola, yeah, it looks like he's Ebola. They're like, oh, we're gonna transfer you upstate, and hey, instead of bringing like a hospital person, we'll get the deputy that you attacked. Don't worry, buddy, we got you. And then proceeds to dump his body into the river. And just when you think everything's kind of closed up and taken care of, the blonde guy comes out. It's like, I made it. I'm not sick anymore. And then gets, the Bend from Night of the Living Dead, the original one, shot to death by the posse.
Oh well, these are though. It was like a SWAT team.
Was it a SWAT team?
Yeah, it was like guys in like full police tactical gear in
Yeah.
ambush around the cabin that they had already cleared out. Again, we're past the point.
Why they're back, who knows?
Right, we're past the point.
Yeah.
We'll discuss it.
And essentially, we kind of get the glimpse of people drinking water or lemonade stand from the, downstream from the river where Ryder Strong's body is now, decaying, continuing the process and starting the crazies all over again, essentially. Yeah. Did I miss anything big? I don't think so.
Not really, no.
So, like I said, I saw this in theaters. I've probably seen this easily a dozen times. And I remember the first time, and you said this off stream, I said, now, to me, this was kind of like between Eli Roth with this and Hostel and Rob Zombie and Saw. It felt like America trying to take the gore back that the new French Extremity movies had, that we lost in the sanitization that kind of started with Scream, because it really wasn't gory at all, and then going into that PG-13. So I think this was their try to answer America's loss of horror.
Right, and like I said, and they answered it in the most American way possible. In that they took the gore, they took the shock of like the horrible things that are happening, but they dialed down the intelligence.
Oh yeah.
So like the story complexity and the real interesting things that are happening in the new French Extremity, they just remove.
Mm-hmm.
And they make it just like your typical American dumbass college kids getting exploded in the woods is essentially like what it is. So yeah, the blood and gore and swearing and skin and raunchiness is all back, but the intelligence is like at zero.
Correct. Yeah, our Americans became really dumb. We don't want to think. We just want to be shocked and throw our popcorn in the air, and not have to think about anything. We were done with the movie.
Right. So yeah, they I think they took the wrong lessons from the new French Extremity. I mean, not everybody, but most people took the wrong lessons. They're like, oh yeah, we can't do this PG-13 stuff. We need to do shock and awe, but they forgot that you need to have like a real story to make it good.
I said it's just torture porn. They just started the torture porn craze.
Yeah, and again, I haven't seen these three movies, but I have seen Hostel, and I saw Hostel 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw Hostel, and I was like, okay, this is all right. I saw Hostel 2, which is essentially just like, yeah, you just take the knob and just dial it up a notch. That's exactly what Hostel 2 is. It's the same movie.
They try to dudes, it's women. Yeah,
it's like they try to take one step further. That's it. That's the whole movie. And at that point, I really kind of made the decision of, okay, I know what Eli Roth's all about. I really don't have to watch any more Eli Roth. And you know what? Yeah, I was pretty much correct.
Yeah, like I said, this is a turning your brain off and forget it. But like I said, at that point in time in 2002, I'm like, okay, I felt like we were coming into the right direction. Maybe not the best way, but the right direction. So
Oh yeah, well yeah. I mean, it's self-correcting, right? But
Mm-hmm.
it's overcorrecting. It's overcorrecting in some ways, but it's undercorrecting in other ways.
Yeah, I mean, we essentially got torture porn craze for about 8 years. Then we started coming back to like thinking horror.
Right.
so, so yeah, this started the 8 year craze of torture porn. Um, yeah, do you want to go first? Your highlights?
Um, sure.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So okay, well we'll go high points. So one is like the dilemma of what do you do when you see a obviously really sick person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like what do you do?
Yes.
I mean, probably not what the asshole guy did, was just shoot at him, and then
With the
and then
BB
just
gun,
like
yeah.
and then like throw him in a hole, and then try to forget like he was there. That's not the right way to do it. But like, what do? Because you can't like put him in your car. You can't bring him in your house. Like you don't want to die from that. You have not only yourself but your friends, family. Everybody that could be exposed to it to think about as well.
Oh, this is 2002, and the cell phones weren't everywhere or
Right. Yeah.
popular. Yeah.
So it's like, well, again, even if they did, they're in the middle of nowhere, so they probably wouldn't have worked anyway.
Yeah.
But again, it's a real dilemma, right? You like, what do you do there? That's an interesting thing to work around. I mean, too, obviously, flesh-eating bacteria is terrifying.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's nothing you can do. It's literally eating your body apart, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's scary. That's like, leprosy, scary.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the flesh and the blood effects were pretty good, right?
Yep.
They're shocking enough. I will say there's one pretty large exception to that. And I will say anything that had to do with animals was terrible. Like the scene in the beginning when he like lifts his dog's leg up and the dog just like tears in half. It was like one of the fakest dogs I've ever seen in my life.
Intestines
And
are just big strings of goo, right?
yeah, but it was like it looked like a bear skin rug folded in half. It was like really bad looking.
Uh-huh.
And then later on, the fucking deer that like flew through. It was obviously the same guy who made that deer. It was like the goofiest looking fuzzy deer I've ever seen.
Are you talking about the legs that look like it's from Evil Dead 2?
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly. It was like those animal effects are fucking horrible. But the blood and the flesh and guts effects are very good
mm-hmm.
for the most part. It's just that those effects were not good. I don't. Wow. But the rest of it was good. Mm-hmm. Those are my points.
All right. I agree. Like the gore, I think, as you said, pretty on point. The story is interesting because not only it's a backwards cabin in the woods, it's a disease that you can't do shit about. And that, as you said, that's terrifying. Of course, right. Dr. Mambo, he's a good boy.
What? What are you smoking?
Before he decided to eat people, he was a good boy.
When he showed up to that fire, he tried to bite people.
Ah.
What the fuck are you talking about? That dog was an asshole from the fucking moment he appeared on screen.
Okay. And to talk about the sign next to Dennis is funny. That they finally put up to Dennis.
Yeah, they got a genuine chuckle from me, yes.
Yeah. And it's a bad ending. No one from our group lives, and it's just going to spread even more.
Right.
So I think that was a good way to do it. Now, we'll talk about that sequel that came from that ending, feature in that episode, and how bad it really was. I'll roll on my points. Obviously, the poor dog, opening scene with the dead dog, not a good way to start a movie.
Especially with this shitty looking dead dog.
Yeah. As we said, not bringing bottled water. That's my number 2.
Yeah, just saying, like, don't drink tap water from someplace in the middle of the woods. Like, what? I don't know what you're thinking.
Yeah. People continuously touching gooey skin. The guy's like, I'm melting. I'm gonna rub my gooey skin on the trees. And people are like, let me touch it. Stop touching gooey skin. It's gross. Pancakes.
Like pancakes?
Dennis doing his kung fu scene was, I felt out of place in 2002 and rewatching it in 2025. Still out of place and stupid. Don't worry, I'm healthy.
I'd believe her.
He didn't.
Oh
um,
no, he believed her enough. Sure, he did.
yeah. And okay, so when her head is getting beaten with the shovel, I said this then. I still think about it to this day, even before watching this. It sounds like they're hitting a kickball with a shovel. That's the sound effect of her skull being smashed in. It's a kickball sound. It's always been ingrained in my head for 23 years now. So I just thought the Foley effects on that were not good. Those are my low points. How about yours?
Yeah, well, I already talked about the animals and how fake and bullshit they look. Yeah, I mean, like the hard R, right? Like the hard R racism. I'm like, whoa! And then at the end of the film, the funny part is like a bunch of black folks come into the store, and he like gives them the gun. Like, you know, he says, "Oh, these are for the hard R's," right? Like when
Yep.
he's pointing to a gun on the wall, they're all like, "Oh shit!" That means he's gonna shoot him on sight, right?
Yep.
No. He's like, apparently they had brought it in to get it repaired or something. And now he's giving it back to them and like showing them what a good job he did. And they're all like, you know, again, but then when he talks to them, he doesn't use the hard R.
Yep.
Right. Then he uses the A. And it's odd. It's a very stupid, tacked on thing. I don't know why it's there, but it's again, that whole thing is just dumb.
From the clearly gay Appalachian man. Yeah.
Right. Now, I said this for this movie, and I think it applies for all of his movies, period.
Mm-hmm.
Is I don't know why he makes every single character unlikable.
He does.
Every single character for all of these movies are not likable people. Not one of them.
Right.
They're all shitty in some way, shape, or form. There's like some that are, I guess, kind of sort of less shitty. But everybody, like at some point you go, oh my God, this guy. Like every single character. Every single one.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I guess he's just good at that. I don't know if he does it on purpose or not, but they're all just terrible. So yeah, everybody in this movie, there's no one that's good, right?
Closest would be Ryder Strong. Closest.
What are you talking about? He brought that girl up that was his friend. He brought her up to that cabin to like essentially sexually assault her.
That's true.
And he was like all upset when she was like, "Oh, my friend tried to kiss me. It was so gross." And he's like, "What do you mean, your friend?" You know, he was being like a total fucking ass. And then she was like being playful and kissed him. And then he acted like, you know, why are you just going to kiss me and leave? Like he was being a total fucking dick. Like almost from the very beginning. And then the very second he had the opportunity to bone somebody else, he jumped all over it.
Yeah.
He was just there to bone. He did not care. He brought her there. Again, if that flesh-eating virus didn't happen, I'm probably guessing that there was probably going to be sexually assaulted. You know what I'm saying? Like when he found the gooey skin, I'm pretty sure she was too sick to know what was going on. And that's the only reason she was like semi into it. If she would have been fully conscious, that would have been sexual assault.
Because I never looked at it that way.
Yeah, the guy is an asshole. And that girl is like, again, probably the second best one you'd think, right? But no, like she goes up there fully knowing, right, that this guy has a crush on her. There's no way she doesn't know that. And then she kisses him and then like plays around. And then she's like, you know, again, she's playing the field, which is, I guess, her right to do. But like, why would you do that in a cabin in the middle of the woods where you have no escape?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like she's like purposely, you know, twisting fate. And the other girl that's there is not really her friend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She has like no allies there. She's just going in like rogue, like trying to be an asshole. Like, everybody just sucks in this movie. Like no one is a good person.
That's true.
Again, there's people that are, I guess, less shitty than other people, but they're all shitty in some way.
Okay.
I mean, like the acting is not good. I mean, everybody essentially, this is what he does. He makes all the characters caricatures, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're like overly amplified, you know, like stereotypical things. And then they like hard act in that. None of them have an arc at all. They're all like start they end the movie in exactly the place they started. And again, they're just the acting is terrible, and they're all shitty people. I don't know if he intentionally made it that way, but it did. Okay, and now I'm going to get into the explanation of what I meant by the point.
Please.
Now, up until the point, the movie is moving in a general movie direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we get progression. There's characters that are introduced, but you understand why. Like again, you get bringing the guy with the sickness. The guy with the dog is there because they needed a Cujo later. Whatever. But there's at that certain point, right? I think it's at the point where the one guy gets sick. It's not clear where he got sick from, but he gets the truck running and then he gets sick. And then that's the point. So where everybody is like, oh, everybody get in the truck and let's go. And everybody's like, oh, you're sick. We're not going to go. So he just gets in the truck and leaves. And then he has his own film.
He does.
And then one guy goes, well, I'm just going to go hide because all you people are sick. He leaves and then he essentially leaves the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then every other character now has their own film from this point. Okay? And they're like, as we follow the certain people, plot threads are popping up, new characters are appearing that go nowhere. Like the guy watches a guy's wife through the window and the husband catches him and that's it. There's no point to that scene.
Correct.
It just happens as like a time waster. I don't understand. Like, what? The whole thing of like, I guess like the whole like, slaughtering a pig kind of scene is before the point. So I guess that kind of sort of makes sense. Why they would leave without getting help doesn't make sense, especially when she's already making the call.
Yeah.
But later on, like, like, oh, I'm gonna watch your wife naked through there. Like, again, it was like obviously like upper crust wasp type people living in the backwoods, in the middle of nowhere in a cabin. Like it was like a normal house. Like, how are they living in a cabin in the middle of nowhere? And then there's like this beautiful like Palm Springs mansion next door. Again, it's all over the place. Like the guy, he goes to the store, gets bit by the kid. They decide that he is somehow the attacker, even though he was watching his kid bite him.
Yes.
And now he's the bad guy. And now, the hillbillies all decide that they're going to chase him down and murder him.
Yeah.
So they like,
instead of taking the son to the doctor.
Right. Yeah. Like what the fuck is going on? The kid leaves the film. Uh-huh. The whole point of them attacking everything, and they all fucking die and nobody gives a shit. Like the old man at the end is like still happy to fucking celebrate with his friends about their gun. Like he doesn't give a shit that everybody's gone and dead. Like it was like the 3 other people that worked with him there, probably his family.
Probably.
Right? Like, okay. The one guy, they show him on fire, he falls in the river. That's the guy that they all got sick from. The original guy that was in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
He goes to find the blonde guy in the cave. He finds another body there.
That's grim. Yeah.
Well, how the fuck are you supposed to know who that is?
Yeah.
They never say it. He does, like, his skin is gone off his face. The only, like, we saw the guy for a whole 30 seconds. Yeah. His defining feature was he had black spiky hair and a soul patch.
Yeah.
The body has no skin on its face. Like, I'm like, okay, so the blonde guy's dead, right? That's it. And he goes, oh no, the blonde guy's dead. And then he leaves. And then somehow at the end of the film, he comes out. I'm like, then who the fuck was the body? And you're saying, oh, it was the guy with the dog. How the no, you don't know that. There's nothing there that signifies that is that person. I'm sure in the script it says who it is, but like us as the audience, we're never told who that is.
I could have sworn I saw his head with the soul patch and spiky hair in that cave.
Nope. I watched it. I'm like, I assumed it was the blonde guy. Nope. He showed up at the end. I'm like, I was like, who the fuck was a body then? And then the other dude, after he watches the guy's wife through the window, he goes to like a dam somewhere along the stream that was there. There's a dam on a stream for some reason. And then he sees like a military dead person floating in there. And he goes, oh, let's check this out. And like jumps in the river with this guy, essentially. Don't know why. And then he just gets out and never returns to like figure out what the hell the body was doing there, who that was, why it was there. That whole scene is pointless. It's just, there's so many things after this point that don't make any fucking sense. It's like up until that point, it's a movie moving in one direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doing normal movie things, and after that point, it's literally like spaghetti. it's like you take the Play-Doh and push it through the fucking spaghetti maker because the plot goes fucking everywhere. There's no coherent plot. You get to the end and he's like, okay, I guess that's the end because everybody's dead, but like the film should still be going because it didn't end. Just everybody just dies.
Yep.
It's after that. Before that point, it was whatever normal generic-y, overly gory kind of horror movie of the time period. After that point, it's a fucking sloppy shit mess. Yeah, so as I'm saying, after that point, the movie doesn't make any fucking sense. I'm sure if you love the gore and love Eli Roth's shitty characters, you might enjoy it. I did not. That's it. That's all I got.
That's all you got? All right. So our out ofs this episode are gooey body parts, because at least two of them have quite gooey body parts. So Salem, number of gooey body parts out of 10. What do you give Cabin Fever 2002?
I mean, I don't hate it. It just, after that point, it just like, I felt like I was being insulted. You know what I mean? It's just like, playing whack-a-mole with fucking plot points. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, they're popping up, then they're disappearing, and then like sometimes they never pop up again. Sometimes they keep popping up for reasons unknown. Again, I kind of have to go, give because again, the first part of it was okay. The second part of it was shitty. So I got to kind of go in the in-between and average them out. So I'm going to go 4.5.
4.5 gooey body parts out of 10.
Yes.
I said, this is the first time really watching this movie with the review in mind, since for me. Yes, there's obviously stupid plot points. Yes, it's turn your brain off and go ew and cover your face from the gore. Maybe it's nostalgia for me that I really enjoy this. Maybe it's the fact this is one of the first movies I saw with my now wife. All that is probably coming into play, and I understand that. That being said, I do enjoy this movie. I can turn off my brain and just watch it, but I will give this 7 gooey body parts out of 10. Like I said, there's a lot of super plot points that they could easily have avoided in this by just bringing bottled water. And,
well, there wouldn't be a film if they brought bottled water.
That's correct. So, but yeah, still 7 for me. All right. So, Salem, take us through the Green Inferno from 2013.
All right. So the setup to this is pretty weak, I would say. So yes. I'm going to try to get us to where we need to be.
It's 25 minutes to get to the actual movie.
Right. And that 25 minutes is pretty fucking pointless. But essentially it's like college girl decides to get involved in activism. Yep. Maybe because she's attracted to the guy who runs the activism club, maybe not. It's not clear, but it seems like whatever. She's like half attracted to the guy, half really just wants to be an activist, right? So she decides to get involved in this club. The head activist guy is like, okay, we're going to go save the rainforest. And to do that, we're going to go travel down to Peru, chain ourselves to some trees to block the bulldozer to stop the rainforest from being torn down. And then we're going to get a whole bunch of pictures and streaming on our, exclusive satellite we're going to have for the area, blah, blah, blah. And then we're going to be back in a weekend. Like, what the fuck? Like, it takes like 24 hours to get to Peru from here.
Let alone to where they're going on the river.
Yeah. I'm like, there's no fucking way in hell you're going to be back in a weekend. But whatever. Okay, this is movie travel, I guess. So... she has, I would say her roommate is probably the most interesting person in the movie. And unfortunately, she leaves after the first 20 minutes of the film and she doesn't return. except for like a short little cameo at the end. But um, that's it. So that's the basically the whole plot point is just to get her to Peru.
Yes.
Okay, so it's her and this whole group of people. It doesn't. None of those people matter. I guess the only one that kind of matters is that the guy who runs the club has a girlfriend, and the only reason she's important is because she shows up in the next movie. Right? That's it. That's the only reason why she's important. So, um, Alejandro is the guy that leads everything. He leads them down there, right? So they go through this long thing. They take a short little flight and take canoes and boats and rickshaws and shit to the level, the rainforest. I don't think the fucking rainforest is that easy to get to.
No.
But that's just me. I'm just assuming here. I'm pretty sure that's why it's remote, because you can't get to it in a weekend. But whatever film world that we live in. So they get there, they chain themselves to the tree. Of course, the lock that the girl that has doesn't work. So the militia people are trying to pull the people from the trees and can't, but was able to pull the one girl off because her padlock didn't work. And that's when we find out that Alejandro picked her on purpose because her dad is like a UN official.
UN lawyer.
Right. A UN lawyer. So that if she's going to be on camera, whether she's murdered or not, her being on camera with these guys pointing a gun to her is going to make waves. Right. And that's the whole reason he brought her and kind of, guilt tripped her into coming.
And made sure her lock didn't work.
Right. And made sure her lock didn't work was for this purpose.
Yep.
Right. She finds that out. She's super fucking pissed. She just wants to get home and then never talk to these people again.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. Right. And then, of course, when they're on their way back, the fucking plane explodes and they crash land. Like half the people fucking die. The other half of them, try to figure out what's going on, and they're very quickly attacked and captured. Well, some of them are just straight up murdered. And then some of them are captured by natives.
Yeah, one poor girl gets like 2 spears through her neck and head.
Yeah, that's Alejandro's girlfriend.
Yeah.
The wife in the next film.
And the rest of them get sleepy darts.
Yeah, the rest of them get sleepy darts. And then they essentially wake up in a cage in a native village. So a picture an Amazonian tribe, which is a real Amazonian tribe. Like they actually went down there and recruited an entire tribe for this film. They were not a cannibal tribe, obviously. But they had no idea like what movies were and shit. Like they had to like explain all this stuff to them. And what I thought was hilarious is they were like, well, okay, like we understand what movies are. What do you want us to do? And he's like, okay, I want you to act like you're in Cannibal Holocaust.
Yep.
And they're like, what's that? And so he played them Cannibal Holocaust, and they all thought it was hilarious. They thought it was like the funniest thing they'd ever seen. And from that point, they just acted like they were in that. So all of these native folks that are in this film are real native folks wearing their normal like native stuff and acting their normal native way, except for, of course, they're not really cannibals. So essentially, yeah, they're in the cage. The one big guy who is the fat guy in love, right? He is the first to go.
Of course.
Yeah, they literally pluck out his eyes and eat them raw. They cut out his tongue and eat it raw. Then they cut off his arms and his legs. And then, like, he's still alive somehow.
Yep.
And then they cut off his head, and they like literally like smoke it like a big smoker. They're big on smoking, I guess. So they smoke them up and they eat them, and like essentially what they're going to do is smoke and eat all of them. So they're trying to escape. There's a really like, I don't know, I think I would call it in bad taste, the scene of a girl that has like real bad diarrhea, like for some reason. I don't know why that scene is there.
We needed a comically bad Foley poopy scene to make
I just felt bad. I felt horrible for her. I didn't think it was funny at all, man. But
the natives did.
Yeah, the natives did, yeah. But like, I don't know. I wouldn't want my dinner being shitting all over the place. Like that to me would I wouldn't No, that wouldn't be appetizing, but whatever.
Especially that's where they keep their piggies sometimes too.
Right. Okay. So yeah, essentially they're taking them away and eating them and cooking them one by one. Um there's three girls, and for some reason, the one girl gets picked, who I'm gonna call Dollar Store Mila Kunis.
Mhm.
She gets picked to be, I don't know if she's gonna be like somebody's fucking bride or something. I don't. They never explain what's going on there.
Well,
Um,
there's actually no subtitles for it. Even if you put
no,
subtitles on, there's no
I was
subtitles for it.
looking. I was trying like to
Uh-huh.
figure out if there was supposed to be. No, there's just not.
Well, my best guess is because when the Hornfinger, chief, takes all the girls out, I think she's on her period, therefore special.
I whatever it is, she decides that she's like, yeah, good, and that she's probably going to be somebody's bride or something, but yet they still put her back in the cage with the food. I don't know. It's very bizarre.
Yeah.
But it's again like kind of shown to you that she's going to go through the process of female genital mutilation.
Oh yeah.
And that's like the big scary thing for her, right? Is that they're gonna do that to her, and she's apparently. Why would they do that to her if they're gonna eat her? So that's why I'm thinking they're gonna marry her to somebody inside the tribe or something.
Well, they consider they dressed her in their garments. Yes.
Right. So yeah, so basically, like the one girl tries to run away, and they thought that she got away, and then they realize later that they're eating her because they see all the people, like she had a bunch of tattoos. And they see all the kids like sticking her skin with the tattoos on them, like running around like they're having a grand old time.
Yep.
But so it essentially gets down to there's three of them. There's Alejandro, I don't know, bald guy, and Dollar Store Mila Kunis.
Well, because shit girl cuts her own throat.
Yeah, she kills herself when she realizes that she ate a piece, because I think that was supposed to be her girlfriend. The tattooed girl, I think that was her girlfriend.
Or they had an interest in each other, if nothing else.
Well, I'm pretty sure that it was her girlfriend, because the one girl with the tattoos said a comment earlier that she was definitely liked girls, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But they were like holding hands and shit the whole time. So I'm guessing it wasn't overt, but I'm guessing that was like her girlfriend. So yeah, when she found out that she like ate a part of her girlfriend, especially being vegan. So not only did she break her vegan vows, but she found out that she ate a piece of her girlfriend. Yeah, she couldn't take it. She cut herself. She broke her plate and then cut her own throat with the plate.
Right. So we have to have her because of the Scooby-Doo scene.
Right. Yeah. So then the one guy had weed in his shoe. So when they find out she's dead, they literally shove the bag of weed down her throat.
Yep.
Knowing that they're going to smoke her body, and that he's going to hope that they all get high enough that they'll look the other way and that they can escape.
Which does work.
Yeah, stupidly enough, it does work. I'm pretty sure those guys have harder fucking drugs than that. So they don't have TV and they need something to do.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, they all get fucking high. The one dude gets eaten because they get the munchies, and they literally pull the one guy out and eat him raw. Right. So then now it's Alejandro, bald guy, and discount Mila Kunis.
Justine.
Yeah, whatever. So they're all gonna get out. The bald guy is there was the one guy that got eaten from the munchies, was the other guy that Alejandro stuck with the sleepy dart to make him stay.
Yeah, because the more they have to eat, the less likely they are to get to him.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So the bald guy and Discount Mila Kunis make it all the way back to. They escape. They make it all the way back to the plane crash. He goes to his GPS thing, and of course, it's out of batteries.
Of course.
So at that point, they're like attacked by the tribe again,
because the people that were in the plane crash were like on pikes, like the entire bodies on pikes. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, whatever. And so again, they somehow manage to escape, and they run down to, they go back. They get captured back to the town. The one bald dude gets like strung up and like they put some kind of green goo on him that like apparently gets eaten alive by ants.
Yeah.
So she gets all like painted on. I thought they were like rubbing butter on her skin.
I
In the
thought so
beginning,
too.
I thought that's what they were doing, but no, they're like painting her all white and like makeup, like getting her ready for her like official mutilation
Yeah.
ritual. And then as that's happening, the bulldozers and everything apparently get there. So one guy comes running back. Hey, look, I killed one of the bulldozer guys. You know, we all need to go and attack the bulldozer guys. So they all go to fight the bulldozer guys. So they stop the mutilation ceremony. One girl that she like kind of sort of befriended with her little like flute necklace she had,
Yeah.
she frees her. She's able to get away. She tries to help the bald guy. He's like, no, I'm too far gone.
And then they throw power in his face and slit his throat.
Yeah, so they kill him, and then she ends up getting to where the battle is happening. We see the army people, the military guys just mowing down the natives.
Yep.
She gets to them and essentially like surrenders, and then she gets out, but she leaves Alejandro behind in the cage. So they ask her, was there any other survivors? And she's like, nope, just me. So, I guess the other reveal that I forgot to say in there was that Alejandro was hired by a rival corporation. So he isn't even an activist guy.
No.
He was hired by another corporation that was trying to, destroy the same section of rainforest, and they wanted to get there first, so that their whole thing that they did was just a delaying tactic to make sure the other company got slowed down enough so that this one company could go in there. So like he betrayed them all, right? So not only did he betray her by knowing that she was a UN person and would get more, clout, but he also did it being paid by the rival corporation. And he wasn't an activist at all.
He's
anyway.
company shill, yeah.
Right. So that's why they all hate him, and that's why they left him behind. There's also another weird, bizarre scene where he starts like just jerking off because he's like, the only time we can think clearly is when you're jerking off or so, like, what? And so the one guy starts like punching him and strangling him. And I don't know. It's a very bizarre.
And he gets really into it too.
Yeah. He like starts jerking off more when he's being strangled. I don't know. The whole thing is bizarre. So I'm just adding flavor for why they left him behind. So she gets back to the real world, and she testifies that the native people were nothing but kind to her. And that they helped her, and that they were attacked, without warrant by these militia people. I'm guessing because she's trying to be the true activist, right? And even though she was like, essentially tortured by this native tribe, she respects that they're a native tribe, and she doesn't want the corporations destroying the rainforest and their village anyway.
Okay, so the question I have for this, because she seemingly comes out of that meeting and then Alejandro's there and she bites him and she wakes up. So this is my first time seeing this movie, and I want to get your thoughts on that part, right? Do you think that the Testify was real or was part of her dream?
No, the Testify was real.
Okay.
The Testify was real. It was just that Alejandro showing up was the dream. But then, like, at the end, anyway, there's like a phone call from like Alejandro's sister. They're saying that they found some satellite photo of Alejandro in the forest.
Yep.
And they wanted to talk to her about it.
Yeah.
That's like the stinger. It's like a mid-credit stinger.
Yeah. Free Alejandro, yeah, it was
right. Yeah, so that's
the new activist group was chanting.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there was ever a second one of these.
No, there was not.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it.
I mean, so what were your first impressions then for the scene for the first time?
I mean, yeah, it's a cannibal in the woods.
Yes,
cannibal in the jungle story. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, I guess the shocking thing is like, the people getting eaten and shit, but like, it's nothing I haven't seen before.
Concerning Cannibal Holocaust came out nearly 40 years before.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, they literally, that was their template to the point where they were like showing that movie to everybody involved saying, this is what we want.
Yep.
So like they were literally making that. It's like they were describing it as, we want cannibal Holocaust without the animal cruelty.
And
That
not being
was it.
found footage. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's it.
This was always on my list of things to watch, but the wife says she knew the plot. She goes, "No, I know Eli Roth. I've seen Hostel and Cabin Fever. I don't want to see people get eaten." And I thought that was fair.
It's,
Now,
I mean, honestly, it's not that bad. I
now
mean,
seeing it, yeah, it's a lot of, other than the fat guy getting cut up, the rest of it is pretty on par with any other body horror movie.
right. Yeah. I mean, again, the one scene of his eyes getting plucked out and they're eating him, and then they cut off his tongue and eat it and then hack his arms and legs off. Yeah. That's a strong scene. I'm not gonna lie about that. But other than that, it's really not that bad.
No, it's not. It's not. I'll do my highlights first then. I thought it was an interesting story. It was a convoluted. It took 25 minutes to get to the actual story. Yes, it was.
Well, it's funny because like you could tell it was acted that way. Like the acting of the first 25 minutes is pretty subpar.
It's on my other side here.
Yeah.
So, and the homage to Cannibal Holocaust, like, we knew exactly what it was supposed to be. Is Eli Roth's take on it, which, okay, fine, not terrible for that. And the guy goes, the Scooby-Doo thing, and then he goes, "They eat pot for breakfast." I thought that was funny. When Alejandro said that, when they're trying to, like, that's not going to do anything. That's what I got for my highlights.
Again, I made a point in saying, like, I think Eli Roth is great at making you hate every one of his characters.
Oh, they all suck.
Like, yeah, there's no redeemable people in any of these films. Like, none of his characters are good. Like, you hate them all. I don't know if that's his thing. I mean, I've seen some of his later movies and they're not that bad. I
don't think you hate everyone of the things killing.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, I didn't hate everybody in that movie. I don't know why all of these movies are just terrible people. Yeah. Okay, so I would say the chaining people to the trees scene with the militia was pretty well done. It was very chaotic. It was just nuts. It was very, like, scary, right? Having somebody put a gun to your head and then realizing that this guy brought you here for this purpose, right? Like, I think that was a good, fun, like, twist of a scene. I like that. I mean, yeah, the truth of activism, right? Like, what it really is sometimes, like, a lot of people push these heavy, agendas, and then you find out it's like they're literally just backing another company, trying to, slow down another company while they try to take the spotlight and stuff like that. It happens all too often, and it's funny that they put that in here. I'm not saying everyone's like that. I know there are some Earth First people out there that are actually trying to do good things. I'm just saying, a lot of times activism does go that way, and it's sad. The gore and effects are pretty good.
Oh yeah, the practical effects on this are really good.
I know Greg Nicotero was involved. I'm not surprised.
It makes sense.
Yeah. I didn't look. I don't think he was involved in Cabin Fever. I just saw his name in the credits for this one. So, but again, yeah, he does a great job. I mean, like the scene of the eyeballs and the tongue. It looks real enough to disturb you for sure.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah, people getting cut up and eaten. Yeah, it's believable enough, which is scary. That's all I got for high points. I'll go to my low points here. Obviously, female genital mutilation is
that's my number one as well.
I don't get it. Like, obviously I've known about it for a long time. It's just like, I don't fucking understand. Like, what is the point of that? Like, I think, isn't the stereotypical thing, like, it's hard to get your wife to want to have sex with you anyway?
Uh-huh.
Like, why would you purposely make it not pleasurable for her, then it's going to be less likely. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's bizarre to me how like certain religious factions are into that shit. It's fucked up. Sorry.
Oh, by the way, Nicotero was the supervisor for Cabin Fever.
Okay, I was gonna say I didn't know if he was. It kind of again seeing how good it was. I wouldn't be surprised if he was, but
yeah,
I did see his name. And this one again, I think the presentation about it earlier in the classroom was a bit heavy-handed and goofy. Like the teacher was just like not into it at all. So you're just like reading off of cue cards about it. And like
here we have female genital mutilation.
Right. And then like she's like, oh my God, we should totally stop this. My dad's in the UN. He can stop it right now. It was like such a terrible scene. It was so stupid. It was just a very heavy-handed, very like out of place scene. So it's a terrible thing in this terrible scene. And I think it just took away from it. The tarantula almost biting like a full dong, which again, that whole scene was stupid. The CGI fucking cat was terrible. Like the cat was like supposed to be sitting on the rock and it was like bouncing all over the place. You could tell it was like cut out of another piece of film. It was like bouncing all over the place. There's a later scene with the ants. The ants are fucking horrible.
Oh, the ants are horrendous.
Yeah. So yeah, whoever did the CGI in this movie sucked. I'm pretty sure that wasn't Nicotero. No. Yeah, the girl shitting in a cage. That was just to me, it felt goofy, out of place. Again, it's supposed to be funny. Like I don't think that's funny at all. That's terrifying.
It's to lighten the mood of people being eaten. Come on.
Yeah, and I will say, they had their fucking Twitter tags in the credits.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Every single fucking person had their fucking Twitter handle in the credits. Fuck you. That's all I
got. Yeah. Female genital mutilation is my number one. Number two, the acting.
Oh yeah. Well, after that point, they're in the village. The acting really doesn't matter. It's like
correct.
The shock is what you're there for.
Correct. Poor fat guy. He's just a fat guy in love,
and
he gets eaten first. As Alejandro said, they'll be eating him for weeks. It's a large tribe.
Alejandro is such a funny guy.
The pork scraps.
Oh yeah, it's pork scraps. I'm like, you see any pigs around, lady? What do you think you're eating, moron?
Yeah, I said the CGI ants are just atrocious.
Yeah,
and I felt like we deserved to see Alejandro die.
Well, again, they're gonna bring him back as the villain in another one.
I know, but I'm just like, we don't even see the giant douchebag die, because he is. Like every time we get more about his character, it just gets worse.
Yeah, he got more and more. He was shitty in the beginning. Like he was already shitty. He never had a good side.
No,
like he literally like kicked the girl out of the first meeting because she like talked.
Yeah,
and he was like, "Oh, you're so insolent. You're an insolent freshman. Get out!" Like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yep.
Like you're in a bar. You don't own this place. Like, eat a dick. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, so like I said, I wish we could see him die. I would love that. But that's about it. I will go first for number gooey body parts out of 10. Like I said, this is my first time seeing it. I don't think it's as good as Cabin Fever. I will give this 6 gooey body parts out of 10. How about you?
I agree. I don't think it's as good as Cabin Fever. I'll just go 4 gooey putty parts out of 10.
Yeah, like I said, you could tell it was trying to be Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah, it was like the template. It was a modern day Cannibal Holocaust without the animal cruelty.
Oh no, the fat guy was the turtle in this one.
Yeah, right.
Poor fat guy in love.
All right, so now we move on to Knock Knock from 2015 with our good friend Keanu Reeves and the always lovely Ana de Armas, who I am a big fan of. And of course, Dollar Store Mila Kunis comes back.
Yes. So We kind of tag team this one, but there's not a lot to talk about in the plot. Essentially,
No, there's
Keanu
not.
Reeves is married with a wife that's an artist. He's an architect. They have 2 kids. She goes on vacation. He's staying. They left for Father's Day, which, first off, bravo for getting the wife and kids out of the house for Father's Day. That's how you spend
Well,
it.
again, they're originally supposed to go on vacation together,
I know.
but he was injured or something, and so wasn't working, and so he had to work to make money or some bullshit, whatever.
Something like that, yeah. So essentially, in the stormy night while he's working, there's knock at the door, and 2 beautiful women show up at the house, like, hey, we don't know where we're at. Our phones are wet. We can't get it working. It's like, hey, can we come in, use your phone? He's like, sure. He's like, okay, well, the taxi just dropped you off here. We're looking for these people. He's like, I don't know who these people are, but let me call you an Uber. So he does, like, okay, it'll be here for 45 minutes. So then they just start kind of get a little bit more persuasive and like going to his house and learning a little bit about him, to the point where he's like, hey, let's put your phone in the bag of rice. They start having a conversation, which they clearly lead to sexual conversations.
Yeah, this is what you call heavy-handed seduction.
Yes. Like, I just like guys and girls and beautiful women. It's like, oh, you're only 43. I think I need to treat my man right and know that we can have threesomes. So I'm preparing to get ready for threesomes for when I get married with my husband. Blah, blah, blah. And just doing everything he can to turn, Keanu Reeves on.
Well, yeah, constant touching, constant like dancing. Again, this is very heavy-handed seduction.
Right. They're like, hey, can we put our clothes in your dryer? We don't go to this party wet. So there are disrobed wearing robes. And so then it just kind of starts and just pushing all the right buttons to get him in the mood. And like, hey, I gotta go to the bathroom. They go in there, and the Uber shows up, and he's like, he hears giggling from the bathroom. He's like, all right, girls, it's time to get, because clearly he likes it, but he's like, I'm happily married. I don't want to be here. I'm just trying to be a nice guy. And he gets into the bathroom, and they lure him into the shower. They have a three-way.
Now, okay, if you have strangers in your house taking a shower, why would you open the door and walk in?
You would not.
No, you'd say, hey, I'm leaving your clothes outside the door. Grab them whenever you're ready. Like,
I'm going to tell the driver to wait a little bit.
Right.
That's it.
Right. No, he like walked in, and now he didn't just like open the door and put it on the ground and scoot it in. No. He walked all the way in.
He's like, ladies, I'm not looking, which was a lie.
Yeah, of course he was. And then, of course, you get, naked young women in there. Like,
yep.
An idiot. I mean, obviously, again, heavy-handed seduction. Good old Keanu Reeves gives in to temptation. Cue all-night sexy.
Yeah. So then he wakes up. He's like, oh, they're not here. Maybe it's all just a dream. But there's notes saying it wasn't just a dream. And they're in his kitchen just making the biggest mess possible, trying to be all cute. And it's like, blah, blah, blah. Oh, we're going to go to Paris. We're going to do all this stuff. He's like, all right, girls, I'll drive you home. And he's like, whoa, no. I'm like, what? What do you mean, no? Well, you did this. We're underage. You know what happens to pedophiles? They like immediately turn. He's like, trying to give him money. It's like, no, we're not going to do that. And they like start destroying his wife's sculptures and artwork and just making a mess of the house. Doing the old in out from Clockwork Orange, but just destroying everything.
Well, not yet.
Oh, I mean, they start.
Yeah, they start doing goofy shit, and then he's like, all right, that's it. We're going right now.
Yeah.
So he throws them in the car. He drives them to where they say their house is. He drops them off, and he goes back home, and then tries to like go back to work.
And lo and behold, they break in, and they're back.
Right. And then, so they knock him out, tie him up, and then now they
rape him.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do, and they record it. They basically, they rape him and blackmail him, saying like, if you don't do what we tell you to do, we're gonna call your wife and tell her what's going on.
Because we're only 15,
right? Yeah. So and then this goes on. So they keep destroying things. He's like tied up. They're like playing like games about like how to kill the pedophile and blah blah blah. The one massage lady shows up. She's all offended because she knows his wife too, and she sees these young girls there. She's all offended and upset. the guy comes to pick up the wife's sculpture for an art gallery.
And they kill him.
And then, well, they don't directly kill him, but he dies as a direct result of their fuckery.
Yeah, and so they like carry on like, oh, this guy, we'll get whoever his name is, Jimmy, to take care of this stuff. He's good at getting rid of the bodies.
Right. Yeah. I don't know what that was all about.
we never hear
Right.
from that again. So
Yeah,
they start playing a game with him.
Yeah,
a game show.
Well, they paper mache the guy's body and put him in the back of the truck, and then then they literally break everything in the house.
Yeah, and they ask him is like, and they ask questions about like what's the sentence for how far away you can be from a school for pedophilia for your kids, stuff like that. And they're like, how many people have survived this game before? He's like, 0. That's correct. So they've done this at least a few times before. And he's just diving in. It's like, we're just do all this stuff, and eventually they like bury him, to his neck standing up in the ground. It's like, okay, well, like, I was trying to be a good guy. I let you in. This isn't my fault. I had, made a mistake. And just, they're like, okay, well, we're going to post the video that we took of us having sex on your Facebook, and you can't do anything about it. Bye. And they leave with his head, Barry. He's able to he tries to delete it, but likes it instead, or links it.
Yeah, that part was funny.
And then his wife comes home, sees it. Daddy's had a party. In the end.
Yeah, that's the end of the movie.
Yep. So he survives, but his house is destroyed to shit.
Yeah.
His career potentially ruined.
Right. Now, okay. This movie, I will straight up say, when I usually take notes while I'm watching the film, I didn't take any notes at all.
Uh-huh.
I was like watching this movie like, what the fuck is happening?
Uh-huh.
It was it was just bizarre. I wrote stuff down, but it was after I watched the film. I'm like, wow, this is just bizarre.
Mm.
It's also bizarre, like, again, seeing Keanu Reeves in this role. It's a very not Keanu Reeves role.
Oh, right. Like, so the wife goes, I don't like seeing Keanu Reeves this way.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, he's an actor, and he's he does a good job in this film. It's just not the type of Keanu Reeves you're used to seeing.
He usually plays a good guy.
Right.
Yeah. And quite honestly, when I watched this, I told people, it doesn't feel like an Eli Roth movie. I mean, the actors are the same, yes, but the gore effect, he's it's not gory in the slightest.
Well, I'll talk about where I think it came from.
Okay. So, but yeah, that's my first thought on this was it doesn't feel like an Eli Roth movie. And I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing when I saw this when it came out. I didn't see it in theaters. I think I saw it when it came out on DVD. And it's just it's an interesting home invasion movie is what I originally thought too.
Well, I guess another important point is to say that they were not underage.
Correct.
She fully admits at the end that she's 22.
Yeah.
So they're both not underage. They were just fucking with them.
Right. It's essentially a modern version of Clockwork Orange home invasion scene. I feel like they got inspiration from.
I don't know about that. A little bit of the old ultra violence is a lot fucking worse than this movie.
Yeah. So, you want to do your highlights first?
Sure. Okay. So yeah, it's fun to see Keanu out of his normal character, right?
Yeah.
Because there's kind of two versions of Keanu. There's his action Keanu, right?
Mm-hmm.
So where he's usually kind of laconic, right? He doesn't say a lot, but he's kind of hard guy, one-liners type of thing, right? And then there's rom-com drama Keanu Reeves, right? Mm-hmm. So but he's in those two different modes, and this is a version that's not like that at all. In the beginning, he is the drama version of Keanu Reeves, but that switches, and then he becomes like this, it's like half shitty, normal suburban dad, like half kind of asshole, which is, again, it's a very out of character role for him. And it's fun to see him in it. Again, it's a little jarring at first, but it's fun. And I think the twist of this film is that there really isn't a twist.
Yes.
It is exactly what you think it is from the beginning. You keep expecting a twist, but there really isn't one. It's exactly what you think it is. I think the twist is just that it escalates further than you think it's going to. As I think essentially what it is. You think it's going to twist and it's going to go into some different way. You think he's going to somehow get the upper hand at some point, and he never does. But I think it's just, it escalates a little bit further than you think it's going to go. Again, not in the context of an Eli Roth film. Obviously, we've seen him go way farther than this in his other movies. I'm just saying, like, as far as the characters involved, like the actors involved, you don't expect to go to this direction, and it's interesting to see it go there.
Yeah.
And then the lovely Ana de Armas and Dallastor Mila Kunis are convincing as sociopaths.
Yes, they are.
You actually believe that they are this crazy in this film. Like, you believe that they are there. It's not, it very easily could have been a goofy caricature over the top, and it kind of is, but it's also oddly believable at the same time. It's an interesting mix. You'll have to see it to understand, but
yeah,
it's interesting for sure. And that's all I
got. Not even Monkey. Come on.
Fucking Monkey was in the scene. He's in like 2 scenes of the film. Like the middle hour of the film, he's missing.
He went to bed. Okay.
Yeah, he went to bed for 2 days.
But he was a good monkey. I thought it was interesting that the home invasion was, first off, not just they're psychopaths. It's like it could have gone like the Strangers route, right? That all that stuff, but also then being a home invasion with 2 women. It's rare. I think it's usually a guy stalking a woman at home. I feel. So I think
that's correct.
So I think it's an interesting way of doing it that way. And what a way to go!
What? What do you mean? Like with your head in a grave? What do you mean?
A sexy way to go.
Okay.
I thought it was interesting that they didn't actually kill him.
Too. Oh no! I mean, again, killing him, he would have gotten off easy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They ruined him. Yeah.
Yeah. If he was just dead, he wouldn't have to deal with the fucking aftermath.
Yeah. I'll go to my low points. Obviously, chocolate cake with sprinkles for breakfast.
Yeah. I don't dislike chocolate as much as you do, but like, I can't eat this shit for breakfast, dude. I'd get sick.
Yeah. Yeah. They talk about him being like a 1%er, and my God, like, I don't like myself in pictures. They have every room at least 3 pictures of the entire family in every room.
Well, yeah, that was like purely there so they could deface them later.
I know, but I couldn't do that. There's no way in hell I could live in a house like that.
Yeah, some people are like, narcissist obsessed with that kind of shit. Like they have pictures of themselves like painted on the walls and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't get it, but it is a thing that happens.
Yeah, I no. I don't want any pictures of myself. I
don't at all. Nope.
I don't think there's a picture of me in any room in my house currently.
Well, I'm going to talk to the wife about that.
I'm okay with that. Yeah, and just like they are psychopaths, and it makes you wonder. Like, I kind of want to know more about them and how many times have they done this? Like, what caused them to do this? Because they talk about like essentially, we break every married man, no matter what.
Again,
what's their end goal?
Just to fuck with people.
It's not like they're getting money.
No, but they've obviously been abused.
And they have daddy issues.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think they're both in that realm. It's kind of like how there's like that weird perfect storm where like two serial killers like meet each other
Mm-hmm.
and then they decide to work with each other. It's very, very rare, but it can happen.
Right.
And it's frightening what they can do together. And I think that's essentially what this is supposed to to be.
Yeah.
Is like two equally damaged young women, what they could do to people if they, use their sexuality as a weapon.
Yeah. And they did.
Correct.
But that's all I got. What about you? What are your low points?
Okay. I don't care how like hot you think you are. If two young, attractive women show up at your house at night, you should immediately be suspicious.
Well, first off, the thing that gets happens every time. I was going to write this down. Everyone acts like in movies and TV shows they have to answer the door when someone knocks on it. You don't have to. You can ignore it.
I don't think I've answered the door in like the last decade of my life. Like if you're ringing the doorbell, you don't know me.
Right.
That's a fact. I don't answer the door. I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like if two attractive young women are like, oh hi, can we come in? Like you should immediately think there are guys with guns on the other side of that corner. You know what I mean? Like
easily.
Yeah, like this is not something that happens.
Right.
But again, yeah, that's he's all like, he is suspicious. He's not dumb. And he's doing like what he thinks is the nice thing at first, and he is overtly avoiding their heavy-handed seduction.
Yes.
for the entire like 45 minutes that they're there. I mean, he is doing everything he can. He keeps getting up and moving seats when they get up and move near him and touch him and stuff. Like he is like doing everything he can. I mean, obviously he could have done more. He could have just told him to wait on the porch or something. But you know what I mean? Like he did try, but still, you should definitely, especially when they're like, "Oh, can we dry our clothes?" You know, like stuff like that. Like they're overtly flirting with you. You should be very worried. This is not something that just happens. I don't care. Again, I don't care how hot you think you are, how much of a catch you think you are. This is a trap. Like this does not happen unless you're like, if you're like super famous or something, I'm sure it would happen to them. But this guy's not super famous.
No.
Again, the supposed twist. I mean, you can see it coming from a mile away, right? It wasn't really a twist at all.
No.
But like what's happening. Like the minute he opened that door, I knew what the plot of the movie was going to be. I didn't know because I went in blind. I had no idea what this movie was about. I know that the only thing I knew was that Keanu Reeves and Ana de Armas was in it. That's it. That's all I knew.
Mm-hmm.
And there was probably a door involved because the name of it is Knock Knock.
Yes.
That was all I knew. Now, here's what I'm going to say about Eli Roth writing and making this film.
Uh-huh.
I think he is angry at attractive underage women. Now, you know what I mean? Like, because he probably at some point found a girl attractive, found out she was underage, realized what kind of power that had over him, and got mad about it.
Mm.
And then again, chunka, the steam engine spinning in his head was like, "Ooh, I could make this into a film, right? Other people can tap into this anger that I have about how dangerous young, attractive women could be if they use their sexuality as a weapon, especially if they're underage." Right? I mean, I can't see how else this film came to be.
Yeah. I get that.
You know what I mean? So I think it's like he's like, "Oh, damn underage sexy women. I'm gonna write a movie about how terrible you are and how you mess with me and destroy my life, blah blah blah." Or could potentially destroy his life. I'm not saying that he was into underage women. I'm just saying that at some point I think he found an underage woman attractive and then had a fantasy in his head about what would actually happen if he got with an underage girl, and this is the result.
Yeah.
So that's where I think this film came from, and that's why I think it does fit as an Eli Roth movie. It's just not as overt as the other ones, right? Like the Cabin Fever Green Inferno, he's trying to get to a certain point, right? He has a point A and a point B. He's just trying to get there. He's trying to tell you that story.
Right.
And this one, he's also doing that, but instead of just being straight up gory and violent, it's just like gory and violent on your sexuality. is what he's doing. It's doing the same thing, but to your libido instead of your, whatever gore triggers.
Right.
That's what I think this is.
Interesting. Never thought of it that way.
So I think it very much fits as an Eli Roth movie. It's just not gore; it's sexuality.
I like it. I like it. Any other little points?
That's it for me.
All right, so why don't you go first for number of gooey body parts out of 10 for 2015 Knock Knock.
Okay, so I like this movie better than the other two, and I think it's simply because of the acting involved. It is a better made film, better produced film than the other two. I mean, it's still not like great. I might rewatch it for Ana de Armas, but I don't think it's something I would rewatch regularly. So I'm gonna go with 6.5.
Yeah, this is so that's my second time seeing it, and it's not just it's an interesting movie. It's an interesting home invasion. Is it as good as Cabin Fever? I don't think so. So I think it's kind of between for me Cabin Fever and Green Inferno. So I probably have nostalgia glasses on for Cabin Fever. But I also agree with you. It's 6.5 gooey body parts out of 10. Yeah, I said this is an interesting director spotlight, and you said you feel like you kind of got his catalog and everything you know about. You feel the same way after watching these as well, knowing his works essentially.
Yeah. No, I was dead on. I was, sometimes I'm wrong. I admit when I'm wrong. I do all the time. I was not wrong this time. It is exactly what I thought it was. I will say, Knock Knock was a slightly different. It was slightly outside that box. But again, like when I thought about it, I don't think it's all that different. I think it's just a different savage emotion.
Right. Yeah. I remember with this one, I told the wife, like, you could watch this. Like, there's not body horror.
No, there's not. It's cringy and awkward sometimes for sure, yes. But like it's not body horror at all.
Correct. And she was able to watch, Thanksgiving just fine because it was slasher horror, so that was fine. But yeah, it seemed out of place for him. But yeah, you say it that way, it does make sense. Your assessment of it. But yeah, I'm excited, because I do like Hostel and Cabin Fever a lot. I can't wait till we get to the Hostel franchise, not number 3. I don't want to watch number 3 again, but we're going to. I don't need to watch the other Cabin Fevers, but we're going to.
I've only seen Hostel 1 and 2. I did not see 3.
3 is like Viva Las Vegas, straight to DVD.
Yeah, I saw 1. 1 was okay, and then like 2 came out like the next year or something. Yep. It was like right after it. I saw 2, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm done with this genre. I don't need to watch anymore.
Yeah, we'll get to the torture porn. We did all Saws. We'll get to the other stuff at some point. So, all right. Anything else to add before we wrap it up?
Nope.
All right. So we're going back to France all next month. Starting with their earlier new French extremity movies. These include My Skin, Frontiers, and Claver. I don't know how the hell
Clavare. I don't have no idea. That's Italian, I think. I have no idea what else.
Claver, sure. So grab your baguettes, slurp down some delicious escargot, and marvel at the Eiffel Tower as we do a month long of subtitles and new French extremity movies.
I'm excited. This is me torturing you for a month.
These are movies that I have to watch by myself because no one's going to watch them with me.
Well, you can watch them with me if you want.
That's true. All right. So remember, we watch bad movies so you don't have to. And this has been Graveyard saying, have you checked on the children?
This is Salem saying, long live the new flesh.
Good night.